going to show you guys two quilling things. We're going to do quilled earrings, and then we'll also have quilled Christmas ornaments. We have this version and this version. Within the kit, you should be able to create one ornament and one pair of earrings, or two ornaments, whichever you feel. Also, there's going to be two guide sheets as well. One for earrings, one for the ornament. We use them as a guide, not typically as that's exactly what you have to do. So in this quilling project, we're mostly going to be doing swirls. There's a lot of different types of shapes that you can do, but the simplest thing to do is swirls, and that keeps it easy and makes it easier on your fingers. There's the kit. Kit is going to be this. This comes with it. So inside the kit is going to be the pre-cut quilled papers, which are the easiest to use. If this is something that you enjoy, you want to do it on your own, you can buy these strips on Amazon. The strips in here are going to be 3mm strips. That is going to be the width. So there's 3, there's 5, and there's 10. The 3 is best if you want to make jewelry. It just makes it easier to roll and to create the beads, especially if you're going to put them on little, like the little hooks for earrings, bracelets, things like that. The 10 is good if you're going to be making larger items or ornaments and things like that. Things are on a larger scale. The 10mm is good. So you have your pre-cut strips of paper, glue stick, quilling needle. This is something that you can also buy on Amazon. Ornament hook, earring hooks. So those will be provided in the kit. Things that you would be nice to use is a pair of pliers to open up the hooks for the earrings. Tweezers to help pinch things together when you're gluing. It makes it easier just so you don't get your fingers stuck, and also the paper is really delicate. It helps you to stop from tearing and pulling things apart. Scissors, and if you want, hot glue gun. The hot glue gun is mostly for the beads that goes on the earrings because it makes it more sturdy. This glue is good for what we're doing, but if you want it to be more sturdy, more doable, I would suggest using hot glue on some of the areas, and also Mod Podge. Mod Podge on the ornaments. Once you get them all done while they're setting, you can put a nice coat on top of it so that it seals it and it don't fall apart, because again, it is paper. These kits will be available at the Bay County Library while supplies last. So now you have all these papers, and you're like, what do I do? So the best thing to do is to organize and take out sheets of color that you know you want to use for your ornament, and then also organize some strips that you want to use for your earrings. So you need some strips for ornaments, strips for earrings. I said we're gonna do our ornament. We'll do mostly red and green. So I'll take out 4 red, 4 green. We have some accent colors as well. We'll throw in an orange and a blue. So your papers may be a little curly like this. The best thing to do to straighten them out is just to run your fingers across them, and that'll help take out some of the curls from them being inside of the packaging. It's paper, so you can control it. So the first thing we would like to do is figure out which color do we want our ornament to be on the outside. I'm going to choose red. This is our guide here for shape and size. So you pretty much want to take it and make a circular form of some sort. It's best to glue on the inside here of the circle and the outside of the circle. This would be your little spare sheet of glue paper. So we'll run some glue along it. That's the outside. So this is our guide here, and we're going to create a circle. Outside, inside. We'll just open it up like so. Some glue, and inside. So one thing to keep in mind as you're creating is that you want to glue all the edges around first. So it's best to make your swirls to get a starting point and then work in. So you want to work from the outside going in. So we'll take our first thing. To make your swirls, we have our fancy little quilling needle. This is the top here. There is a small slit here at the top. So you want to take your paper and thread it in between the small slit. There. So when you're making your pearls, you want to put your finger at the top and then start winding inward. So putting your finger at the top, it stops the paper from creating a bulge, which will sometimes make the curls pop up. So that's not good if you want them to remain flat. So as you can see, we're winding inwards. I am putting some pressure as I'm turning it, and that is just to help it stay tight. So you see I'm holding it here with these two fingers. I'm pushing down with this finger, and I'm just twisting. Now that we have this little coil here, now when you get a quilling kit, they have a corkboard and pins that you can use to create your shapes. But for this, since we're just doing curls, we can use our fingers. So as you have it, it's nice and tight. As you release pressure, it opens up. And then you can control how big or how small you want it by just gently let it opening up on its own. So I feel like that's a good size. You want this end here to be on the inside, touching the inside of your ornament. This end touching this. Personally, I don't glue things down until I have a good idea where I want everything to be. So I just start making twirls and I just place them inside the other circle, and then just make all your shapes first. So if you want them to be bigger, you can just, if you want them to be really loose, you'll just kind of unwind it. Unwind, and then you can control it with your hands, how big or how loose you want it to be. So these ends do get a little wild on you sometimes. That's why you do want to focus on making them touch the inside of your ornament, so then you can put more control over it. Okay, so now we're gonna get fancy. So to make multiple colors, like this one here where you see it's green on the outside, red on the inside, green on the outside, orange on the inside, what you will do is you'll take two strips and you will line them up the best way possible. And you will cut them in half and then glue them together. And we're gonna let these dry and do some other curls while those are drying. And you can make them all different colors. You can combine colors as much as you like. That makes it look a little bit more polka dots. It kind of brings the other colors into it. So let's say if you have like one orange, you can cut the orange into multiple small pieces and put them in between the other colors. Kind of bring all the colors together. We'll do that one there. So I'm gonna decide that this one is gonna be our top. So I'm just gonna sit that there so I don't lose it. So let's say you want it to be a very tight circle. What you would do is you would take that and you would just put some glue there while you still have it on the needle. A lot of glue. And when you're twirling it, you'll close it and smooth it at the same time. And that will help you keep your coil tight so that you just have one closed circle, if that's the style that you like. It looks more of like a bead, and you can just use that like so. So set that there and we'll let that dry. So when you're doing these, you need to be mindful of which color you want in the middle. So if you want red in the middle, you start with red. If you want blue in the middle, you start with blue. So this time, I want blue in the middle. I want it to be very, very fancy. So I'm gonna open this up a little bit. And you see that it does its own thing. Like it's tight in the middle and then it's loose on the outside. If you don't like how that looks, you can always open it up and loosen it up with your hand. You can loosen up the blue part. The more you uncurl it, the more loose it will become. And then you just reform it with your hands so that you can get more of the size or the style that you would like. When you have two pieces of paper, sometimes it's best to figure out the size. Like if you like, I like how this looks, I'm just gonna go ahead and glue it down and seal it so it won't change, because the more that I let it stay open, the more it'll just kind of keep unwinding. So a little bit of glue on the end and put it there. So I did blue on the inside. I'm gonna do red on the inside this time. If you wanted to make this into a bead, you would just put glue outside of there, and then you will have a bead that has red in the middle, blue on the outside. But I want curls, so I'm just gonna open it up just a little bit and let it unwind on its own. And I like how that looks, so I'm going to leave it be. So now this is where you need your tweezers, because your tweezers are gonna help you glue these edges to the inside edge of your ornament here. So we're gonna take some glue, put it on the inside edge, like so. And then we're going to take our tweezers in here, and I want that to be glued right there. You see how I take the tweezers and press it together, like so. So that's that one. And as you create, you see how much open space you have, how much closed space you have, and you can pretty much make it how you like as you go. That's how I like to do it. What we have here is, like I said, it's a guide. It's not really a map. It just kind of helps you keep an idea of what shape you should be creating and size, because it can get a little wild on you at times. So I want this closer to this. So I'm gonna take this edge, the glued edge, tweezers, get it as close as it will let me, and I'm gonna press it here. I also like to take the tweezers and run it along the inside, because that helps us keep our circular shape. Every time you glue it, it'll start getting a little misshaped on you. So you wanna keep in mind, if you wanna keep it a circle, to kind of keep a curve going as you glue things down. You also wanna be mindful of what's touching what, because when you hang it up, you want it to be sturdy. So like these two are touching points. It would be best for me to go ahead, place some glue in between these two and press them together. This is where if you had like Mod Podge, or if you want to do a hot glue gun bead, you would just put it there and it's just a little bit easier to control. So I'll just do just a little hot glue bead right there. If you don't want to use hot glue, you can use the glue stick, but the more stable the glue, the better, the more sturdy it would be, because again, it's paper. So we got those two guys married and having a good time. They're together. So we're gonna glue this one on the outside edge. I use my finger as kind of like a base, and I just put glue there. If you have an alcohol pad handy, that helps to keep the glue off your fingers so your fingers aren't sticking to everything as you keep going. So I want this outside edge to be close to that, and then we'll put that together. Again, we'll run that around so that it can stay in a circular form. Starting to change shape on me a little bit. It's getting a little wonky up here. So that's okay. We'll just take our tweezers and we'll go around, try to get more circular. Every time you glue something on the edge, it gets a little out of control. So then we'll take this up here. So when you are creating an ornament, you want to be mindful of, you want at least one swirl to be where you're going to put your topper, because that needs to be a point to where it can hang and be sturdy. So I have this swirl here and my topper right above it. So you want to make sure you have some small swirls at the top somewhere so that it can keep its form. This is another reason why you need tweezers, because the smaller the space, the curls like to kind of do their own thing, and it helps you control your forms. So somehow I got a little cramp right there, which is okay. You can always smooth it out. So I see a touching point is going to be here, and another touching point is going to be on this green and on this red. So keeping in mind of your touching points is important, because once it dries and it sets, the curls just fall out. So you want to make sure that everywhere is touching is good. So this is about the size I want it to be. So I'm going to just glue this one together, and then since I have it in my hand, I'm just going to run glue around all of it. We want to make sure these are touching, the touching points. We want to make sure we take the tweezers and we press those together. So I'm going to press together the blue and the green. I'm going to press together the red and the blue. Okay. You can see these curls are getting a little loose on me. So when you can pick it up and see where things may or may not be falling apart. These are pretty good. We have one more. We have this one. I want this one to be over here. So I'm gonna look and see, okay, so the red is touching there, green is there, and then I have the red on the outside. So I'm gonna go all around with my glue stick. And if you wanted to use Mod Podge here, you can. This is more for stability and shape. We're gonna move things around a little bit. There we go. So we see where things are touching. We're gonna press with the tweezers. There. There. And then make sure you wanna get the outside portion here. Go along that. So I have this little bead here, and I was like, okay, he's pretty cute. I want to use him still. So you can do several things. The thing with this, because it is going to be heavier, you want to make sure that it's touching an outside edge somewhere. So wherever you place it, you want it to be on an outside edge. Put a lot of glue, as much as you can. And we are going to put it in here. You want to make sure the glue is touching the outside edge, so I'm going to press that against that. And these two need to touch. Do a hot glue gun bead right there. You don't need much, just enough to make it stable. So sometimes they raise, so you just want to press it down, make it flat. Take your tweezers and press those together. So I'm gonna pick it up and see what I got going on. Oh, that's pretty cute. If you feel like you're losing your shape, this is where you can also reshape it. Now, as I put it down, I see this curl is a little bit too loose. So I'll take a hot glue gun and I will glue this to the inside of this other orange circle so that it is more stable. So this is why the hot glue gun or the Mod Podge gives you more stability. And if you don't have that, you can just glob the glue stick glue and it works too, but you just have to put a lot on there. The glue gun and the Mod Podge is more, it just dries faster. You kind of see more of what you have going on. This curl is kind of heavy, so we're going to do that, and we're going to hot glue on that one. So you want to make sure you go on the edge that's going to be touching. It's where you want to glue it. So we're going to put the glue just a little dot. We're going to connect that to that. Okay, that's that. So now our top. So this is where we're going to make a new shape. So we'll take this, we'll thread it on top. So again, we're going to control how big we want to let this unwind. So we want it to be about there. That's good. We're going to let this dry because we have to make a shape out of it. So we're going to let it get a little more stable. First hand, I was like, oh, we have an extra piece of green paper. Let's make another curl, throw it in the middle or over here. So same thing. Control, release. I like that. I'm gonna put it right here because that was a little bit too much open space. So I'm seeing that this edge is touching that mostly. The outer edge is actually pretty loose, so I'm gonna take my tweezers, grab that because that's how I want it to stay. There, and we will put glue around the outer edge. And you know, let's make these curls, let's have those glued together because the more stability, the better. This is gonna be our top. So what we're gonna make is a crescent shape. So to do that, you take one edge, you bring it out to the side and you just pinch a corner. So it looks like that. Then you take the other side of that and you also want to pinch it again, so you have this shape. That. And that's what we're going to put on top. So what I like to do before I decide where I'm going to put it, I'll pick it up. So that's a good spot. So because this is going to be hanging, we want to actually going to put some more strong glue on this edge. So I'm just going to put a little dot of hot glue here, and we are going to hot glue that to the top. There. Tweezers. Press. We have our ornament. Now before we put in our ornament hook, we want to let this set, because if we handle it too much, things will start falling apart because it did not get a chance to cure. Also, this would be a great time that if you did want to Mod Podge this, you would just go ahead and just slather it all with Mod Podge. Front and back, I would suggest, because you want it to be as stable as possible. Earrings, you take halves. You want to make sure you have your bead strip, set that to the side because that's very important. You don't want to use that on accident. Because we're making a pair, we're going to half everything. So what I usually do is I take the paper and I try to line them up as best as I can end to end. Some of them are a little wild and that's okay. You just want them to, we're going to cut them anyway. So see that. And you see how some of these, it seem like they're not lining up. Not a big deal. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because we're going to make it twist and turn and curl it anyway, so we just need sizing is the most important thing. Everything's cut in half. So now we need to decide which one do we want to be our outside color. Looks like I have more red than anything else, so I'll choose red for my outside color. And this is going to be so that we can keep in mind our size, because that is important. Okay, so we have our curl, we have our circle, and let's see. Now, if you like big fancy earrings, you can do a whole strip of paper. From doing this project, the smaller, the more stable. But if you go online yourself and you want to create flower petals or other shapes, you can do that, and you can make a bigger style earring, but you want it to be more of a condensed type of arrangement, whatever type of design that you're doing. The more open the design, the more fragile it is, and it doesn't stay as stable. But if you're doing like a post or something like that, you can make more of like bead shape. So if you're gonna make something that is larger, you wanna make sure that it's more condensed of a design. So we're gonna take some glue. So when I make earrings, I make both of my circles, and I try to mimic the same thing on both. So this copy of a earring design is just a guide. It's not a map. Outside edge and inside edge we're gonna glue, just to make sure everything stays stable. Let's stack them on top of each other. They're definitely sisters. So now we're gonna create our curls. Just like we did with the ornament, just make some curls. If you wanna get fancy, because we're doing earrings, so we're gonna be fancy with these. Let's combine some colors. So I'm going to have these. If you're doing color combinations, you really will like to glue those first so they can be curing as you're doing other things, because if they're not glued together and cured, they'll fall apart as soon as you try to put them in the quilling tool to twist them, just because they're not stable enough for the tension. And I want to do purple and green. Okay, let those cure. So I got mostly orange, red, purple, and green on my inside design. So I'm gonna take these and I'm actually going to half these because I want my colors to match. And these are gonna be accent curls. So take these, and I'm just gonna do some curls while those are curing. See, this one kind of tried to lose shape on me a little bit, so tweezers, go around it just to bring it back to more of a circular form. The shorter the paper, the smaller the curl. So if you didn't want to make open curls with these and you wanted to make beads, you could. So here I'm going to show you where you can make the S shape. So what you would do is you would go like the normal end, you will leave some out, take it off, and then you would thread the other side and you will curl the opposite way. Same thing. And this gives you an S shape. So I did one, so I have to do two. So when I'm doing my S shapes, I usually count like how many times I twirl it in and outward, so that way I can keep them pretty much uniform. Then my S shape, so then I'm gonna do some regular curls. Now, since we are making a bead, we need our bead to be as stable as possible. So we're gonna go ahead and create our bead so it can be curing while we're doing the rest of this. So when you have your bead, you have your full-length paper. You cut that in half, so then you have half. So 1/2 to the side, because you actually want it to be small because you need it to loop through the earring eye loop at the bottom. So then you do another half. So you do half of a half. So this is the size we want for our bead. So we have this here. So what we'll do is I'll take a little glue, put it on the inside, because we are making a bead, and then we will twirl it and smooth it at the same time. So there, it's on nice and tight, and we'll just take that off and we'll set it to the side. There, beads, earrings. So now these guys should be ready. So where you start with is going to be in the middle, you end with is going to be on the outside. So I'm going to do purple in the middle, purple on the outside, and then I'll release it a little bit, release of pressure at a time to control my swirl there, and That's what I got. So I'm gonna put that there. Start arranging them to see how much space I have here. Wait, I'll make some red S's. Okay, like that. That seems pretty cute. So to thread your bead on your earring hook, so you want to have your pliers, or you can even use tweezers as well if you're accurate with your tweezers. You want to open this end, so I usually hold it upside down, put it inside the eyelet and open it as much as possible. So I'm going to show you can do it with tweezers if you need to. It's better with pliers because you get a better grip. You want to be at least half open. So you want to pick up your bead with your tweezers. If you can use your hand, you can use your hand. Sometimes it's just depends on your personal preference. So I usually take the hook into one of the holes on the bead. So you want to hold the bead firmly and you want to thread it on there like so. Have your pliers. Close the loop. You try to get that little ball to go up first and then try to close the loop. Okay, so you want your bead to try to lay straight as possible. There. Take your hot glue or your Mod Podge, a strong glue, because it's gonna be hanging. So you want to find, again, you want to find a point to where it can hang and not fall apart, so that's good. You're gonna take glue and we place it there. Apply some pressure and let it cure. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you make some beautiful, beautiful jewelry and ornaments, and please share them if you can. Thank you for watching.